Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and another episode of the Indie Show. Tonight we are talking Something is Killing the Children, Volume 4. I got my usual crew with me. I see John's being thrown under the bus for being late, and it wasn't actually his fault, but it was his fault. So, what's going on, John?
Not cool. Not cool.
I will say John was here and ready to go. I won't say who wasn't, but John was ready to go. So, all right. Next, we got Katoon and Delphia. What is going on, gang?
Woo! It was my fault.
It's okay.
I wasn't going to point fingers at you.
I was actually just going to keep pointing them at John because it's more fun that way. But.
It was totally my fault. Not John. John just wins all the contests. That's what John's known for.
Yep.
Not being late.
Especially Simple Simons.
There you go. And certainly not last and not least, we got Mr. Kavi himself, Comic Book Simulator.
I was going to throw myself under the bus, but you pulled them in first, and I was like, okay, all right. You know, I'm the inactive guy these days, so I may as well be late.
You're active when you feel like it. That's
Exactly.
This is supposed to be fun. So,
But good to see everybody. It was fun to dive back into this story after a little bit of a break from reading it. So
yeah, we talked about
good.
that beforehand. That the last time we did one of these was last June for Volume 3, and this went on hiatus before these issues came out, and then after these 5, it went on hiatus again. So it hasn't even come out with issue 21 yet. So yeah, this has been kind of a slow release schedule, to put it mildly.
yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like Dune.
Yeah. So so just initial thoughts on this volume, diving back in. What did you guys think?
Don't you want to say hi to the chat and say what are we doing?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say hi to the chat.
Wow.
Fine, I'll say hi to the chat.
Who is this guy?
I don't know.
15's feeling the
He's
15-minute warning.
ungrateful and not a very nice person. That's what he's saying. Hey, we had Unruly. He's always tailgating in this. We had Old Wolf saying talking and just to everybody. We got Kavi in the chat. And then I think that's it, isn't it? Kachung is in the chat.
Yeah, Dre. What about Dre?
Oh, Dre,
Thomas?
we have
Jade.
somebody other than Old Wolf and Unruly in here. And JD, what's going on, JD? Welcome. So yeah, I was just gonna ignore Tony and Unruly, but but we did have other people. So all right, John, what did you think of this volume? Diving back in.
I mean, last time I joked that when we're reading it, that like they had announced that they were doing this sort of backstory, origin story, flashback, whatever, 5-issue storyline next, and that I really was like, I don't need this. Like, I don't want it. I don't need it. Like, I'm perfectly fine knowing that like who she is in the moment and slow burning and slow bleeding out of information about her. And then I read it and I really enjoyed it. I think it works well in not doing that annoying flashback thing where they're just going to tell you everything, like give her all the information on her. It's just this one little snippet that I kind of like thought was well laid out, and all the same frustrations. If anybody has frustrations with something like killing the children, they're still there. Like it's not any different. It's just a different storyline that we're getting. So I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun.
Okay. Kachung and Delphia, what did you guys think of this volume? Let's start with Delphia. We'll let her go first.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was easy to read. And I mean, honestly, it had been a while since we read the last one. And I felt like it picked up really well from where it left off, and it read really well, like independently. I felt like it was a really good read, just all by itself. Like you didn't need to go back and read, the first trade. Like you could just get through this and get what you needed. I liked the art, just like last time. I think the art's amazing. It gets consistently really, really good. And I really like the voices of the characters. I think they do a really good job creating the dialogue for the characters throughout the story.
Nice. What about you, Kachung?
Yeah, I think Tinian and it's Deladera, right? the artist.
Yeah.
He does a really good job with the eyes and the emotion in the eyes, because there's a lot of close-ups of the eyes of everybody and not just Erica. And so he does a really good job portraying that emotion. And I thought that, you know, as I read the trade, because we weren't getting the issues, I thought that it read well on an issue-by-issue basis. It kind of gave a bit of a glimpse of the story, a piece at a time, you know, like she gets there and then she, you know, gets introduced to the house, and then, you know, it goes on from there, an issue at a time. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, Kavi, I know you. I have a feeling you have thoughts.
Yeah. Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think on the first two volumes, I was pretty much positive on the book, and I guess it started becoming one of my favorites of the Boom Studios, you know, whatever portfolio of new books at the time. And then it was sort of that third volume that came around that kind of soured me a little bit on the book. I started getting kind of bored a little bit because I kind of felt like the same thing was happening, you know, for a few issues in a row, and they were kind of stretching the plot a little bit, you know, beyond what I thought it needed that many issues.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I wasn't, not to say I wasn't hating it. It just didn't, my score was going down instead of staying the same or going up.
Right.
This volume totally saved my interest in the whole series. This is my favorite volume. Like I like this better than the current timeline story, if that makes any sense. I just thought that the background information, plus the introduction of four to six newer characters that are important in that, especially the guy's name is escaping me. The guy who
Aaron
runs the farm. Is that him?
Is it
I'm
Bill?
not gonna remember that guy's
That
name.
runs the farm.
Bill.
The tattoo artist.
Yeah, I love that character.
He's cool.
That's my new favorite character, even though I can't remember his name right now. I just read it yesterday, so
Yeah.
so I love that.
He stitches her up and then tats her up.
Yeah. The dragon also was like a little bit of, you know, sense of intrigue there and what that means to the lore and all that. So I thought it was cool. Zach. Okay, Zach.
No, I said he needs a snack.
Oh, he needs a snack. I thought his name was Zach.
Big Gary.
Big Gary. That's it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to go on and on and on. I like this volume. I thought it added a lot of like depth. So I'm enjoying it.
So I'm very much like Kavi on this. For me, my biggest issue with the first three volumes was the pacing. I thought it was too repetitive, like you just said, a little bit repetitive, a little slow. Felt like it should have been 10 issues instead of 15. I thought the pacing was better here. I love that it was just a 5-issue arc to tell this. They gave enough detail without going into too much, I thought. Although we do, John and I talked about this before you guys got backstage. The last issue is a little bit of an info dump. They did save a little bit for that. Because I think it does peak in the middle there where she's dealing with her stuffed animal and what that's become. That's definitely the peak. But we get some interesting backstories, I think, on some of the new characters. Jessica and Big Gary and and Cecilia, who we met a little bit in the first 3 volumes and just came across as a biatch. And, well, yes, that's pretty much still the case. But you get a little more of where she's coming from. So, yeah, I think this is probably my favorite volume as well, overall. So let's dig a little deeper here. So we kick off, and it's, the opening panel is literally her as a little kid, just after the monster killed her parents and her friend, and she's been saved, and it's now inside her stuffed animal. That is. So what did you guys think of this? The setup and where we kick this off. What did you think about this whole first little arc here of Jessica finding her and taking in a stray, which she's been called multiple times throughout the course of the series? What did you guys think of this? Kavi, we'll start with you.
I mean, I thought it was great. I mean, it's basically the origin of Erica Slaughter. She doesn't get named Erica Slaughter until a later issue, like I don't know.
Basically the last one.
But this is the origin of the character, essentially, that as she is today. So I was very happy to actually see those moments occur, and I thought it was done well. So I don't know. That's kind of vague, but
no, it's okay. So, Kachung and Delphi, what about you guys? What did you think of this opening sequence here?
I was confused. I thought Cecilia was there, but she wasn't.
On the phone.
Oh, she was on the phone with her. Yeah,
she was on the phone. Yeah, I guess, and this was really like the only time children were being killed, which was, well, I guess she did flashbacks, right? She had her dreams, but interesting. Jessica's eyes are pink. I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, her design, the eyes are such a huge part of his art. Like, I mean, you look at
it earlier because
I'm gonna completely sidetrack, but his faces are eyes and mouths. I mean, basically, I mean the rest is there, but everything is told through the eyes and the mouth, and mostly the eyes. It's just it's an interesting choice, and it works really well for me, at least. Sorry, I just
kind of wondered why she was, why Jessica was giving her a lot of information. Like, maybe she had a feeling that Erica was, I mean, she witnessed her and what she did.
Yeah.
And she started to kill the monster, and then I guess Jessica, we find out later, finished it off.
Right. I just assumed that was the only child that she had ever seen kill one of the monsters.
Oh, well, fair point. Yeah.
I don't know. And that it's like Qui-Gon seeing, young Annie like winning, pod races, like out of nowhere, like holy hell, like this kid's got midichlorians in him, like I don't know, it's the same kind of vibe to me. Like that's where my head went, and obviously because I'm so obsessed with Star Wars, I know you are too, Dave. It's like,
oh, that's not a Star Trek reference. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I went straight there with that sort of. Oh, like I can see potential in this.
She has midichlorians.
Yeah, she's got monster chlorines. Yeah, but no, I love that. I also really love the vibe between those two characters when they're like driving to Chicago. They're talking about New York City. It's like they're having this like almost family style conversation after such a shocking, like traumatic thing happened for what's she, 12 years old or something?
And Erica came across very laid back.
Yeah.
About everything.
Yeah. But maybe because of the shock, I don't know.
Possibly. She said okay a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, she definitely took it in stride better than you would think most kids. But then she obviously took it better than most would by the fact that she fought back, that she didn't just give up when she seen what happened. And like, I mean, obviously that's what Jessica saw something in her, obviously, by doing that. And like Kavi said, and I do think their interaction. What do you guys think of Jessica as a character here? Because we'd heard about her, but we didn't get to meet her till this. What did you guys think of her?
About that red sports car, though. I mean, come on.
There's two. I think they're in that first issue. There's two spread pages where. And to AWL's point, like this book always has those pages that you have to read all the way across those spread pages.
Double page spreads.
And
there's so many more in this.
I'm to the point now where they've trained me. So when I'm reading,
there was even an issue where I almost thought we were like going for a full silent issue or something.
It was towards the end of the first arc, right? Yeah. And in this one, I've been trained so that when I see a spread page in this book, I just assume I go all the way across both pages now. It doesn't faze me as much.
Yeah.
There's one though where it's like, I want to say it's Erica's eyes in the very center. Yes.
Yeah.
And then the next page is so it's her and then Erica. I thought that was a great tool. And I loved that, and it highlighted for me both the things they might have in common if you wanted to look back and think about maybe where Jessica started, and some subtle differences between it seems like Erica is a hardier character than Jessica, who seems like she's very tormented by what's been going on in her experiences. So I like that yin and yang that they've got, where they're not just like twinsies, right? There's definitely some differences here in how they manage their stress and anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting because I feel like the whole part of why she takes her in is because the story would be that she would probably kill her, like they, to leave no witnesses kind of thing. She's not going to do that anymore. She's done too much, seen too much. So instead, she takes her in and because she can't do that again or ever, because Jessica's clearly somebody who's been doing this for a long time and it's not like struggling with what it is that she does. And my dog is going crazy again.
I thought it was a donkey.
We'll let Archer take over.
Archer's just killing.
Yeah.
He's just hanging out.
So nice to see you, Archer.
What was in the Tupperware?
That was the octopus.
It was the octopus.
Yeah, they just put him in the Tupperware because they didn't want to hear him complaining.
They didn't want him to exert any influence on her until the right time, I think. That's how I took it.
Yeah.
Because that's what the whole test is about, right? When you get into issues 18 and 19, they kind of like let him back out to play and see what he can do.
Oh, I just thought they didn't want to hear him complaining because they put him on the mantle when they got to the house.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just thought that it was literally just she didn't want to hear.
Shut him up.
Yeah, like complaining all the way back to New York. So it was just to shut him up. But I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting how, the whole concept of the book is around monsters not, monsters are real and you can't talk about it being real.
Right.
But then, throughout the book, you kind of defeat the monsters by like acknowledging that it's like what is and what isn't real.
Yeah.
Because essentially, like you're saying, it's not real. Because the more real you make it, then the more it's all about. I think this whole like comic book is kind of like teaching kids to kind of like maybe it's not for kids. I don't know, but it's not for kids. But I mean, it's like about teaching people to face their fears.
I see that. Yeah.
I
Hadn't thought about it that way, but
it tames them.
Yeah, because like the more you let your fears control you, then they'll destroy you. And essentially, like these monsters themselves aren't really like able to kill them unless they let the fear take over.
Interesting. Definitely, that is a lot of it with the whole interaction. Once the test is really very much about that. You're right. It's just so. What do we think about the? We get a glimpse of the House of Slaughter, obviously, like when they get back after their little car ride, and we see.
Wait, so is it the House of St. George, or is that what's that called again? Or not
It's
house?
it's the
Order.
St. George is what they're a part of.
Yeah,
And
and
then
in
house
that there are all the
of
houses and all the like skill sets.
And the mask colors.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, like it's still a little confusing because I only read it
Because the mask color and the house is that.
I think they match,
I
right?
think they match, right?
No,
no?
The way I took it, because the white masks are in the house as well. So there's multiple houses like around the world and across the country, and then within that, there are different masks that do different jobs for that particular house.
Oh, really? So in the House of Slaughter, I mean, obviously the House of Slaughter has 2 kids, but I mean, like, in some of the other houses, there's a variety of mask colors. Because I took it to be like that house had this mask, but maybe I'm thinking about it wrong.
Yeah,
well, no, because the
sure.
white masks are there as well.
I think they have a bunch of different colors in the same house because they basically said that in each house they all have like a corridor, and within that corridor, that's like their safe haven.
Right. I didn't get that then.
Their family.
And the red masks are the people that put the sheets on and
Yeah, I don't have the different colors and like roles things memorized in my head just yet. But
well, yeah, because he talks about it all in the last, and it's like
that's in the 20th issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reds are like the bookkeepers, and the like basically the Alfreds of the order.
They're not the communists.
Right.
No, they're not,
Reds.
not the
The
communists.
red-
And
But I
let's-
think early on they said that about like them having their own like houses, like their own rooms within the house, though.
Yeah.
That was like earlier
Mhm.
before they
Yeah.
defined all the
Right.
roles like later.
When she finally said, "Here, you can take your mask off because this is kind of where we belong."
Right.
I mean, I just have to call out in the second issue that this page where you see the other totems, like
Yeah.
Whoopie Puppy and Hootie, Hootie the Owl. I love these.
Oh,
yeah.
It's funny.
I want a Whoopie Puppy. And
You want to
wait, there's a Thumper, there's a Hootie, and a Whoopie Puppy. So-
There's definitely a room for a lot of like marketing,
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
merchandising.
Of
Besides the
totem- yeah,
masks, you
yeah,
know, which I
exactly.
think are necessary.
What would have been y'all's
totem.
totem?
Oh no, man.
Mine would have been Snoopy because I had that
Snoopy,
forever.
okay. Mine probably would have been Winnie the Pooh, most likely, something like that.
Mine would have been a ping. There was a penguin that I had when I was a kid that, like, that went everywhere with me. So it would have been the one.
I had like a yellow dog that I named Cheerio.
There you go.
I mean, I don't know. I think I have. It probably would have been like a stuffed monkey. I had a
Nice.
couple of stuffed monkeys, and I still have one that I've had forever. So probably like a stuffed monkey.
Awesome.
So
Sorry to
totems.
sidetrack.
There you go.
I
I know,
love
but
it.
I had to just take a minute and just talk about that because it's just cool. to me.
No, it is
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
So, Aaron seemed a bit standoffish when she arrived.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He was like, "Who is this?" Like he was a bit bratty.
Well, it's clear that
He's the
been-
actual son, right? The actual son of Jessica. Or...
No, he's just the one that came up through the.
Oh,
Like,
I thought
he went
for
through-
some reason during one of these issues, Jessica was asked about doing something the traditional way, and I took
Yes.
that as like she had a son, you know. But
No, the
I guess,
traditional way is they find them in orphanages and
That's what happens.
so
when
that's the
you-
traditional way. Is
Yeah.
okay. Got it.
They
he
basically
tested, and how he tested to be, given what we know about him later. Now, I didn't read House of Slaughter, but
didn't
given
either.
what we know about him in the previous part of this, how
Well, I
he
read the
tested to be a
excerpt
Black
that's at the
Mask.
end of this 20th issue, but that's it.
the concept they seem to be implying is that the old way, which is putting Erica through,
Right.
led to a lot of dead kids, a lot of failures, and a lot of monsters that took control.
Right.
And so they started like altering the system for selection to
Yeah.
allow more kids to make it, which in some ways it sounds like some of them were like, well, you're diluting our power when you do this, and we're ending up with
Weaker
candidates that aren't as good at what they're going to have to do.
Yeah.
And that the original way created superior members to these houses, and so that's partly why they're so impressed with
Like the
Jessica.
college admissions.
Or,
No.
Erica, yeah, right.
Kind of like how we thought, growing up in the '80s made us harder.
I took it differently. I took it as I took that whole exchange between the dragon and Jessica for him to basically say that because they had been so clinical about how they had vetted out these candidates, because they had made it easier and safer, essentially that it wasn't that they were better or worse. It was almost that they had lost that human touch.
Hmm.
And because he said that they were all very clinical or something like that. Like they were just I can't remember the phrase, like the terminology he used, but basically just saying that
They had good SAT scores.
they were like less human, I think, because of the selection process and how sterile they'd made it. And because she had been out in the world, even though she inside still had the core skill of basically being a hollow human, she had the exterior softened up by living with people and still cared enough to be human enough. Because he said the house had gotten really cold or something like that. So that's kind of how I took it.
Mm-hmm. And he called her a monster too.
He did call her a
Mhm.
monster. Like when he gets to that part, and she's like, "I wasn't a monster." And he's like, "Well, how would you have passed?" And it's interesting that she's like, "Well, because sort of they helped me. They told her what she needed to know that she was able to apply during the thing. Like the tips that both Aaron and Jessica gave her allowed her to figure out the solution when she was in there. Like not to go tell anybody, and not to that it wasn't real. Not all of it was real, and so I guess we haven't really focused on. I would like to focus on that whole sequence of her battling Octo in her memories, like in the barn where they like they make the spirit go into her, and
I mean it's the crux of the entire trade, in
That's
my
when
opinion.
She became a Jedi.
Yeah.
It's Jedi training.
Issue 18 and 19, I think, are not only the best part, but like
I love
the
that.
pivotal climactic portion as well.
Totally.
Yeah, you really don't see the creatures much. It's really just in her
Just the
flashback,
one little,
in her dreams.
yeah.
But for me, it was all about the psychological
Right.
trauma.
And the tattoo she gets is the symbol above the barn door, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Saint
this.
George.
Right. Yeah.
it's the tattoo they all end up with, and
Right. That's the House of Slaughter symbol, I guess.
But yeah, there was a lot of great, really dark in the barn scenes
Yeah.
that were they just laid out well.
Mhm.
Great art. And so he was a blue. This guy who was
The tattoo artist.
Big Gary was a blue man.
Gary's
Yeah.
Slaughter. Yeah.
was that him in the barn?
Yes, that's him.
I don't think they want to be referred to as the Blue Man Group, but I get where you're going. With that.
They were like the computer whiz people.
Yeah, because when he comes out, he's pissed that Jessica didn't tell him what he was dealing with. Like that it wasn't.
Because so usually the new recruits get like some weaker monster to deal with, and this was like some obscure type, whatever class 4.
Basically the same thing that she dealt with, like in the original trades that she found in Wisconsin, which is part of, I think, part of the reason she reacted the way she did with the kids there was it was the same. Now that you see that, is it was the same type of monster that she dealt with when she was a kid. Like, I think that's part of the reason. Like, I don't remember the kid's name. What was it, James or whatever? That like she was trying to like desperately to keep him alive, as opposed to like just let him get bumped off the way that the order
classes.
The kid who we once thought was like the main character.
Yeah,
I love it.
Well, we thought he was the main character until we saw her.
Until like the middle of issue 1.
Yeah. As soon as you see her, you realize, no, this is the main character. Like her design is clearly.
So what they didn't realize is that she'd already jumped in the deep end, dealing with that one at the beginning, and then they threw that other one at her, and she just dealt with it in her way.
So what did you guys think of like her? I mean, Kavi, what did you think of this sequence and how she like deals with it and figures out the trap that it's laying for her or whatever?
I mean, if not for like the first 3 pages of that issue, what was that, issue 19? I don't remember. 19. I thought that issue could have been possibly a silent issue, like for a second there, because there was like a 9-page sequence without 9 or 10-page sequence, I think, without any dialogue, where she's kind of like realizing that she's being tricked and whatnot. And then eventually she, comes to that full realization, and there's dialogue again, which I thought was great. And then there was that full splash page where all the colors changed to like blue and green or whatever. Yeah.
When the memory changes.
Right. Exactly. So I thought it was all effectively done from a, storytelling standpoint. Like remove the dialogue, go full red, black, dark negativity, and then as she's like unraveling it, the color scheme changes and all that. It works. It tells a story that you could tell it's like a fever dream trip kind of thing. It's not actually happening necessarily, but you can see it all like being worked out. And then I thought it kind of like jumps back into the present timeline towards the end of that, right? I think.
Right.
She
Like,
was kind of leveling with Octopus.
yeah, and I thought that worked too. I thought just overall it was a good issue, and she emerges, I think, without them realizing that she has.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. She just walks up and says
Yeah,
hi,
which is
and they're all
great.
just like,
Yeah, which I liked because then that sets up the sort of the drama of the beginning of the next issue where they're all like kind of just hanging around, expecting to clean up a big mess
Yeah.
or whatever,
And I will say, to me, like, that's probably my favorite issue of the series, but I really wish we didn't have the 4 pages of let's set up House of Slaughter at the beginning of it.
Mhm.
And it was just
Oh,
Erica.
which the 20th issue or
19th.
19th.
The 4 pages.
Yeah,
of
because
Erica,
it was like those pages were the ones that didn't fit to me in that issue.
yeah,
Like
they
could've
were
been way-
literally, I think, a setup for House of Slaughter. There's like, oh, let's
Yeah.
do a House of Slaughter preview at the front of this really cool issue of her, what's going on with her and what she's got to beat. And like the whole rest of the set, that's once it goes to her, the whole rest of the issue is her and it only.
right.
And yeah, to me, it's just like it's a little keeps that from being an almost perfect issue, like in a lot of ways for me. Like, just
Yeah, I don't
the fact that
disagree
they
with
had
that.
that at the front.
But she was also trying to figure out who the bullies were,
Yeah,
and that.
but she doesn't figure that out. That's just showing you who the bullies are, like in
Right.
the thing. But yeah, because they're just showing Aaron getting picked on, which
I think those Aaron pages could have easily worked in issue 20. Just
Yeah.
been at the beginning of issue 20, then cut back to the rest of the family at the farm, and then the rest of the story. It still works the same exact way. Whether
I would be willing to say that they were like, we can't make issue 20 the entire info dump for the entire series.
Yeah.
That's probably
Yeah,
what their
it's
thinking
possible.
was.
Yeah, it's possible.
Knowing that issue
Yeah.
19 was also light on story and heavy on just art, I think
Well,
they
I
were
feel like
probably.
it wasn't
That's
light
why
on
I almost
story.
felt like it could have
But I
been
totally
a silent
agree.
issue. Like
It
it could have been a
totally
silent
bogs
issue.
the issue down.
Yeah, like that. I mean, as much as I appreciate the dialogue that was in there, like that really could have been a 100% silent issue, and it would have still worked.
Oh, it would have been great.
Yeah.
It would have definitely been my favorite issue overall if that had
Yeah.
happened.
So we get to 20, obviously kicks off with them having the whole argument about the fact that they all think she's dead. Like literally, they all think she's dead. And she's just like, and they're yelling at each other, and she just walks up and she's like, hey, now what do I do? Like, now what's next? Like, when she, and
Yeah,
they're all
I like that splash page. It was like,
yeah, her and the dogs, and then I love all their faces like, what?
yeah,
She's alive.
Before that, though,
Darius-
this
Darius
page
was
is
awesome.
awesome.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we did
yeah,
not
that's
know the Octo.
that's the one I
Yeah.
was talking about. The
Dave's
full
better at
blue
this.
green.
Here, he does
Oh,
this
yeah.
all the time. With his comic book.
So good.
Yeah.
She's just leveling with the octopus. She made him kind of humanized the monster a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
This would be
Before
such a
she went to
cool.
her
This would be
shape,
such a
kinda
cool poster.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She pulled back the curtain because she was like, your illusion doesn't affect me anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And it had to basically agree, I guess.
But I also love that we get it like later on saying like, she beat me once. She'll never do it again. I'm going to like carve her up with her bones. Like he's awful. I love Octo.
Yeah.
And I know that everybody loves I love Big Gary too. Like the other character, for me, the octopus is my favorite character. He's like the anti R2D2. If you want to really keep this metaphor going, he's like the evil droid that she's stuck with on all of her journeys and has to help her, but is clearly just trying to work out a way to kill her. And I think
it's like
it's
one of
just
Dr. Aphra's
phenomenal. Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
So I think it's hilarious that like the first thing out of its mouth when it's like been defeated and forced into to living it as her whatever familiar, whatever they call it, is just like are you on the page, JP, where it says
no,
it?
I can get to it. Yeah.
I just can't remember the exact line. I didn't buy the trade. I just have all the issues. I just read them again, but like, so it's just like so foul.
A little bit reminded me of the Fox in Middle West.
Right? The Fox at least was somewhat benevolent. This thing is just like screw you all.
Evil.
Yeah. And what does he say? It's the dragon's talking to him, and he's like, oh yeah, here he is, and he's like, a powerful beast tamed by a little girl. You must be furious. And he's like, she bested me once, but never again. I'll pick my teeth with her bones in the end. And he's like, that's the spirit. The old guy's just like, oh, that's good. That's the spirit. Good job.
I loved it.
Well, even the thing when she's talking to him at the end of the dream, after she's forced him into the octopus shape, and she's like, you killed my mom, dad, and Becca. Do you feel sorry? And he's like, no. He's just like, no.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, all right, then I guess I wake up now.
It's what I do.
And it's, but we do see her like get the tattoo exactly where Jessica had it. Like, if you notice that, because she's like, well, where'd you get yours? And when he asks her, and she gets it in the same spot on her arm, which was interesting that she chose to do the same thing. But so what did you guys think otherwise of her interaction with the dragon here after she's passed her test? And the dragon as a character. I'm not sure what I think about him. Given they kind of had the conversation at the end of volume 3. What did you think, Kavi?
It's kind of like, you bring Palpatine in way at the end here, like
he's going to go the whole distance with this metaphor.
Little bit of mystery around this guy, but like you're scared of him, but you're also intrigued, but he's not necessarily a bad guy either, because this is all part of the one organization in theory. I mean, maybe they have their problems or their internal drama or whatever, but I thought he was pretty effective for essentially the one scene that he was in, and it was with her.
Which was kind of where he came in at the end of the last story arc too, where they sit before she gets on the bus and leaves. He has the same kind of like little moment at the end.
Yeah, and that whole reference of you're a monster. I think it's good sort of psychological doubt that you can put into somebody.
Yeah.
And then Erica as a character then leans in even more, on her, comfort level with Jessica to be the one to say, don't worry about all that. Like you're meant to do, he does the Obi-Wan to Luke thing. Like, don't worry about all that. Like, like you'll be okay.
He did come across a little Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, little Mr. Miyagi. Yeah.
Just with the
like harsh.
He's
reality.
Connected to the old world, and he knows how to tame the beasts and defeat them. And
so are they continuing? Are they continuing this origin in any way, or
I don't think so.
21 is supposed to be what happened after she left the previous town.
After 15.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. So that doesn't mean that we might
I'm
not.
a little disappointed by that.
Yeah, we might not get more flashbacks in the future, but at the moment they're supposed to be jumping back to her leaving after she left the bus ride, basically.
Right.
But House of Slaughter might have more insight potentially.
I haven't read any of House of Slaughter.
I haven't read it
I
yet.
don't know.
I read House of Slaughter issue 1, and I hated it so much I didn't read anything else. Now, it wasn't like loathing. It was just like everything I didn't need. I didn't want it. And I didn't like any of those characters half as much as Erica, and I didn't want it.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, she's the linchpin, and I don't want all that other stuff. All that other stuff's fun as like window dressing, but I don't want it as the focus. So that's it. I just took me out of wanting to read it. So I
might wait on reading House of Slaughter until the whole book's over.
So maybe that does extend this story. I haven't read it either, and Delphi, you don't even know that it's it was kind of the bridge between this book and the next one. They put in a House of Slaughter series. What was it? 5 books?
I think it was 5 again.
I think it was another 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they just continue this, and
it's mainly about Aaron.
I think it's mainly about Aaron.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah. Erica's not in it. As I
did
recall.
like that they gave more dragon. This is probably the most dragon we've seen.
Yeah.
At least
Isn't
it's
there?
age.
So there was that one class of mask that was like, was it Emerald? That was the Dragon Hunters or the Dragon Fighters?
Yeah, the Dragon Hunters.
Like, was that a metaphor for like keeping check of the leadership of the houses?
I don't know.
Organizations, or is that just because they used to believe in dragons in 15th century England or whatever? That's
it's hard to know if it's literal.
I mean, the story of St. George is that he killed a dragon. And they relate that.
Yeah.
And they're like, because she asked, "Are they real?" And he kind of gives her, "Well, yeah, but not in America or whatever,
Right.
or
Right.
Right, in the old world.
in the old world." But so it's interesting what they actually mean there, because maybe they do. Maybe
They didn't really expand on that group
See,
at all.
I wasn't even thinking about the leadership. I was wondering if they were because we talk about that Erica went rogue sort of at the end of 15.
Mhm.
If it's not just that they don't hunt rogue members of the order, period. Like not
Right.
just, and they just refer to them as hunting dragons. But yeah, it's kind of that's
I don't
kind of
know.
a curious.
That was the
thing.
only like speculation that I had.
Yeah.
And
Possible.
I can't decide to what Dave was saying about Miyagi. I can't decide if he's Miyagi or if he's the original Cobra Kai guy. Like for me, I feel like the dragon
Reese.
is being set. Yeah, Reese. That he's being
Reese,
set up
Reese,
as the real villain of the series, and that eventually that's going to be where it comes to head.
I mean,
with
that's
Erica
kind
and
of
him.
the vibes I was getting, where he might end up being like a villain, but he's just kind of being teased as a scary ally at the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see Tynan going in either direction with it, because that's the beauty of it. There could be a worse character out there that we meet later on easily. But I maybe it's just because we're so much in Erica's shoes all through this series that I look at him as just like the worst. And the eating of the gummy worms thing just creeps the crud out of me.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want your
guy,
gummy worms.
The gummy worms just don't fit. It's just so weird.
Get the heck out of here, man.
All right.
But did they say how many other houses there were, or like
What does he say in that
amount?
I don't recall that.
I mean,
Because
they
I was
said that-
clearly just
said that there were a
connecting
lot.
the-
right, but no specifics.
So yeah, so he's like, means you're a member of the Order of St. George. You're Erica Slaughter, and he kind of lays out what the test is, and he's like, you're going to be. I thought he talked about the house. You're going to be going through training to be one of the Black Mass. Oh, the House of Slaughter is. So it's one of the houses of Order of St. George, but he doesn't really say how many there are.
Mhm.
And then he just talks about the color sets, what the scarlet, black, white, azure, silver, and emerald masks are.
Yeah,
what
the
they
4
do.
hunters.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, 4 types of hunters and 2 types of support is basically what it amounts to.
So were there other houses revealed?
Yeah, they've mentioned a few other houses, I thought, but
Oh,
in the original 15, I don't think they came up in this.
There were multiple around.
I thought maybe I don't know. He doesn't say it in that sequence. I did think they said something about there being other houses in
Yeah.
America.
It might have been towards the beginning of either this trade or I thought maybe in the other, but I don't remember.
So what was the farmhouse then? That was just the training.
That's just their training area.
Right. For the House of Slaughter, I guess.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Right.
That's the way I took it, at least.
Yeah, same. Just because the
So-
symbol was there.
So with every house, they have a farm.
Theoretically, I guess. I don't,
You would assume that's what they, yeah. I thought it was in here, but now I can't find it.
although
Doesn't-
maybe depending upon what kind of mask you are, there may be a different kind of trial or something. Maybe
Right.
like I'm not sure. But
Or wait, no, it's when he's talking about hang on. I think it is that one. I'm not
Every-
sure.
because wasn't one of the masks like just there to like support the hunter classes, and they make life easy for the hunter classes
Something
by
like that.
handling all their like accounting.
Yeah, well, that was the Scarlet mask, where the bookkeepers.
It's like, do you need to enter a barn and walk out of it to do that job?
I feel like I need an entire issue just on the alternate color
Yeah.
schemes,
Yeah,
like all the alternate mask jobs that exist.
I'll
like,
write that class. Sign me up, Boom Studios.
Yeah,
I'm a
the
big-
silver.
I'm in
Silver
the,
were the ones that were highly trained specialists.
I'll write the
Yeah.
I'll write the
Hunters,
penny
the big
pinching.
ones.
see that's the opposite. I want the untrained special. I want the like I'm a beige mask.
You know what?
But yeah, he does say when he's talking about the silver, he does mention it. We've only got 2 of them in the House of Slaughter, but there are more in other parts of the world. But he doesn't really mention like another house name.
Mm,
The
yeah.
He does say that there's a bunch of the Scarlet Masks back at the house in Chicago. So it's a
Yeah.
you know,
John wants that silver mask so he can go fight the werewolves and vampires that don't exist.
yeah, he wants to fight
anymore.
werewolves and vampires.
Yeah.
I'll
So
take it.
What did you guys think about the fact that there weren't enough totems to fill up the shelves
well, there's no
in the black house, and then they were like, "Oh, it's because the house is complicated because there was a lot more space for a lot more totems."
well, you
Yeah,
get
that
the-
was a tease, I guess.
I mean, well, and we get in the original volume, and what he talks about is when Aaron dies, like in the original volume, that she's the last black mask in the House of Slaughter.
right, like this whole time, I imagined that Erica has lost Jessica at some point along the way, but there was never any
That was
clear evidence of that. But in my head canon of it, she has lost Jessica somewhere along the way, and that maybe reaffirmed her belief at one point, but now potentially is contributing to her doubts. I don't know, but
but it's clear that there's not, well, the what he describes is the black masks have the worst job.
Right.
They're like literally. We go out, you don't know
they're
what
these
you're gonna
solo hunters.
You're the solo hunters that just, when we don't know what we're dealing with, we just send you out to figure it out and kill what you can. Because the others all, like the white hunt in a group, the
They're
emeralds.
the Cad Banes, baby. They're the Cad Banes.
Yeah.
so good.
All right, I'm done.
No, you're not.
No, not sorry. I was gonna say, do you have any other Star Wars? We're getting toward the end.
good,
Any
I'm
other
done.
Star Wars references you want to make?
No.
It was my own fault. I mean, I pushed it. I went with the droid
pushed
thing.
it,
All right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they have the toughest job, and it's clear that, and that could be part of what's going on with Jessica. We don't know. I feel like I would have rather. I'll just be honest. Like, I would have rather gotten House of Slaughter to have given me Jessica's story instead of Aaron's.
I agree.
Like, Aaron doesn't interest me at all.
Oh, maybe there'll be a third series.
And I can only say I read the one issue, so it's possible Jessica came in more later.
Or
I
they just
only
do
remember.
or in like another volume later, they do another flashback.
I just really didn't care for it. So
Yeah, what
Don't
Andy
forget,
yeah.
don't forget Adelaide in the wheelchair.
Right? Yeah, that was, and I liked her totem the most. Fluffy Wuppy or Fluffy.
Yeah.
What had made her get to that point? I mean, obviously she'd been a black mask and been hunting for a long time.
Yeah.
She's been up to a lot. She survived, and now she's basically almost comatose but awake.
Yeah.
So what led her to that? Fighting
I
monsters.
mean, you just think of the scene Jessica walks into, and you think of the scene that Erica walked into when she was saving the kid. Like, what the black mask walk into? Like, how does anyone, I don't care how tough you are, over and over again, walking into houses with a monster that's just ripped the family into pieces? Like,
It numbs you.
yeah, it would just. Yeah, you think about people that have come back from war and the things they see, and that's basically what these people are doing. Only they're almost exclusively seeing families and kids, not just like other soldiers. And, which,
Right.
yeah, it's
And they're
Hard
good.
knock
with
life.
it.
Black Mass have the worst job by far. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So you guys got anything else you want to touch on that we haven't before I get final thoughts?
Mm,
Not really.
no, I think we covered it all, right? Yeah, that's
Okay. So what were your final thoughts? Are you looking forward to more? What do you want to see if this series comes back and we read some more of this? What do you guys want? Let's start with Kachung and Delphia this time. What do you guys want to see from this going forward?
I liked it. I'll read the next one if there's more. And I also, for me, what I want to see, I want to see a backstory, not like a huge one, because I know we wanted to stay focused on Jessica, especially for John. But I want to see more of the dragon, and I would like to find out that he actually probably lost maybe like his jaw, like fighting real dragons. That would be pretty cool. Some of the old world house like coming into the new world, and so like some different types of monsters other than the same monster that we've been seeing throughout all the series would be cool.
Yeah.
So that I'd like to see like another layer in that way from like what they deal with and what Jessica's gonna have to deal with. Because I'm sure there's a lot more to her story than just this and then winding up in that little town.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to see different monsters. Like I'm ready for something different than just the Obscura type. Kavi, what about you? What are you looking forward to out of this, or Arya?
Well, I mean, do we know how many issues are left? Like, has that been announced, or is that?
We just
No,
know
I don't
that
think
it's coming
so.
back for another volume, and we don't know beyond that.
Well, I guess my hope then would be that, yeah, we continue the Erica Slaughter story and go somewhere new, which is like where we last. That was the last current timeline thing to happen. Is she's leaving the town that we all know now and going somewhere, right?
Right.
So I'm curious to see where that somewhere ends up being. Like maybe we get some different like vibe of like people and cityscape or part of the country. I don't know, like I don't know where she's going. So I'm kind of curious about what that looks like and where the next volume or two are being sort of maybe she goes to multiple locations across the next volume or two volumes. I don't know, So I'm kind of curious how far away they stray from, the established. And then my hope is that you don't need to go multiple volumes before you start doing additional flashbacks or side parallel timeline stuff, that you can weave that in within even a single issue if you want to, and it still works because you've now established 5 straight issues here of backstory and depth to the story that you're telling. So even if you shift it to the current timeline, you can just more easily go back because you've already done it. And anybody who has read up to this point won't have it, a hard time juggling that anymore. I would think moving forward if they grasp the first 20 issues. So those are the two like high level things that I'm looking forward to. I'm cautiously optimistic because I wasn't enjoying the current timeline storyline as much, but I think having all the details from the flashback stuff will make the current timeline more interesting to me. So
that makes sense. What about you, John? What are you looking forward to or wanting from it going forward?
Kachung.
Oh, Kachung.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see more of the colored masks and their tasks. If she is going to go to another town or another area, what is their territory? Like another house, like where are their black masks? And if they cross paths, like are they going to quarrel and say, these are my children? I need to save them. This is my town.
Is that like a
turf war?
Team up?
Dance fighting.
You're right. Are they going to maybe recruit black masks from another house? I don't know. I'd like to see more of the totems.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of internal thoughts from their perspective, being trapped in there, and
like other totems. Yeah.
What do they think of these black masks and silver masks?
Yeah.
And how do they relate to the dragon?
Okay.
Cool.
Sorry, John.
I mean, what I've always kind of wanted from this is just to Kavi's point, like shorter miniseries, her in different cities, different towns, different monsters, different challenges. And as we get this, we just slowly expand our understanding of her history, the House of Slaughter, the St. George community. Like, just I feel like I wanted in I wanted the first arc to end at issue 5 and then drop her in another town. Like, I was ready to just keep moving her around and exploding like the universe instead of just hyper focusing on that one town. So I'm looking forward to more of that. That's what I really want from this. I don't need to know her whole life story. I just want to see her in action, and certainly that will inform us as we go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that you guys have covered most of what I'm looking forward to. I want to see her. Yeah, I want to see different monsters. I want to see her different situations, and keep moving. And as other things come up, that it triggers, like Kavi talked, we get a little more. Continue to just get more flashback information, but in smaller doses, so that it's like
right. And it doesn't even have to be in a flashback format. It could be something somebody else says.
So we get. It trickles out now. Now that we got the main crux of it, it just starts kind of trickling out through the rest of the story, and that's kind of what I'd like to see. So overall, I'm way more enthused about continuing to read after this volume than I was after the last.
Same.
So for sure. So well, with that, you guys got anything you want to talk about before we get out of here? I know some of you haven't been super active. Kachung, you got a show though weekly that you do at least. So
yeah, crazy thing was our last episode of our Bounty Hunter show was episode 39.
Wow,
which is the same as this one.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
cool.
yeah, every week Mr. Garrel and Hoser and I get together on Thursday nights. We know it's Wednesday now. It kept changing, but we're back to Wednesday evening at 8:30 Eastern, and we just talk everything Star Wars for the week, news, and we break down a specific character every week and look at their comic firsts and any speculation around them and go over their appearances in TV show like the Clone Wars and in the movies and in the comics, but specifically more about the comics. It's a good time.
Thanks. Kavi,
it is a good time, and Garrel makes those like voiceover animations. Those are always cool.
He does. Good job.
Is that a question?
You got anything?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I think. Well, no, we have one thing planned. Pretty much anything I have planned, it's like on JP's channel. So, well, I don't remember if this is on my channel or JP's channel, but we are continuing.
I think it's your turn. If we
Is it my turn? Okay. Well, we are continuing Gotham City Chronicles with finally reading The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller.
Wow.
So that'll after we do that, we'll join that with Simple Simon, who's actually never read The Dark Knight Returns. Never.
Perfect.
So we're doing
Always
it.
good to have a rookie on board.
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing that on March 28th or
Tuesdays.
29th. Yeah, March 29th, 8 o'clock, I think. So that'll be good. And then we'll have read like 30 comics on that show to like do an actual ranking special or something.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. But other than that, I have nothing specific planned.
No original art?
Not really. I haven't really been buying much art or books even really. I've just been kind of like chilling on buying stuff all the time. Kind of got burnt out on buying stuff constantly. So just kind of chilling. You know, I even took a break from social media that I needed badly. That I think has been to my benefit. So
I think everyone needs that.
Yeah. So
Every so often,
kind of just hanging out and hopping on other people's shows when the moment arises. But I'm not putting much pressure on myself to make contact.
I wanted to give a shout out to Geek Aficionado
Jimmy.
because he sent me a really, really, really cool AOK
Cool.
that was completely unexpected, just
Nice.
out of the blue. And I honestly thought that Kuchung bought it, and because it came from his store, and so
I had no idea.
Inferno Comics or whatever.
Yeah, I thought Kachung bought it, and it was like right before some holiday recently. I feel like Valentine's Day or something. Yeah, and anyway, so it was all good. But I thought that he bought it, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, it's a comic. And I went ahead and opened it, and I was like, I said, Kachung bought a comic, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that this is Valentine's Day. I don't know. And I just opened it anyway, because that's what I did.
It
And
clearly wasn't.
and then I opened it, and then I was like, oh, well, I'll just put it away. And then I told him about it. He was looking for it because Jimmy had talked to him. And he was like, I think we should have gotten this book, and I don't know where it is. And I was like, oh, I already put it in my collection. Because honestly, like, if this book came in his house, we knew where this book would go.
Right.
And so I just put it in my collection. But anyway, I was super excited. So I wanted to give Jimmy the shout out because it was really an amazing A-OK. But super cool.
Ooh, nice.
Cool book.
Toxie.
Very cool. That's awesome.
I love,
Percy's cheering.
my Tormented Souls, and I love Toxic Avenger. So it was super cool.
That's cool.
Nice.
She's a big fan of the Thing.
Yep, that was cool. So I just had to share that since I don't have a show. That's like my spotlight.
Well, since he just went mute and turned his camera off, I'll just do mine while
There
he's
you go.
taking care of Percy. I've got Comic-Gories coming up Monday, the final Winter Olympics show. We got a pairs event, so we got a lot of people partnering up to go head to head, and then Dungeons and Dragons on JP's channel on Sunday. And
you canceled.
this Sunday, no, I might actually be able to do it again. So I'll let everybody in the group know. I just got a text.
You
while
need to
we
let
were
me
going
know.
live.
so I can
I
be
just
ready.
got a text from my sister while we were live
Okay.
saying that she's
We
canceling
usually
this.
put you
thing.
guys on the Dungeons and Dragons. It's a good because Sunday's a recharge for us, and
Sure.
we just put you guys on in the background. We listen to you talking your way through fights.
Yeah, I need to know that.
I just learned it. I didn't want to stop in the middle of the show and start texting you.
Yeah, gotcha. No.
So that's about all I got coming up.
Okay. I have John. I sure mentioned Comic-Gories on Monday. I'll have my usual weekend stuff, maybe including Dungeons and Dragons this weekend. And tomorrow night, I should have a CGC unboxing. Maybe depending on what grades they are, maybe the two most valuable books in my collection, depending on, are coming back. My Journey into Mystery 84, Second Thor, First Jane Foster, and my NYX number 3 are both going to be coming back tomorrow. So they were supposed to be here today, but I missed the mailman, so I got to go get them tomorrow. So they will be here. Yeah, so we'll be doing that tomorrow night.
That's cool. What time is that, JP?
I don't know. Sometime tomorrow night. I'll try to schedule it tomorrow.
It's the whenever report.
Yeah, so the whenever. Probably the normal 8 Central, which is usually when I do stuff. But I got to make sure I actually get them picked up tomorrow before I schedule it. So
Cool. That's exciting.
So yeah, probably my typical 8 Central is probably what we'll do for that.
Very cool.
So looking forward to seeing what I got. So they're very different. One's going to be super low grade, and one I'm hoping for a 9.8. So there you go.
Nice.
The other one I'm hoping for like a 1.8. So that's kind of
Mystery. Some old books.
Yeah. So all right. Well, I think John is already triple booked tonight. He's supposed to be on 3 other channels right now.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. Let's get John to his next show.
Yeah, we'll get him out of here. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out. Hood Rat came in late.
See you
Warlord. Sharon, with 2 YouTubers, was here for a long time. All AWL was in here for a long time. And Ruli, I'm pretty sure, probably stayed the whole time. Thank you, sir. And Old Wolf.
He fell asleep while the show was on, for sure.
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
Old Wolf in the house the whole time. Kenneth, thank you guys. Appreciate it. And with that, we're going to get out of here. Later, everybody.
Bye-bye.